Oh my goodness, you're so ferocious. Should I just be terrified of you?
Alright, it is time for another spicy kitten video. No, I did not forget about this series. There were just other things to talk. There were so many other things to talk about. First, it's the porpoising. Oh, porpoising's going crazy. Oh, look at Baku, it's backbreaking work. And it's bouncing. Oh, look at the the low-profile tires at all these different circuits. Then it's Ferrari doing the clown fiesta. Then it's Mercedes are resurgent all of a sudden. Then it's the illegal floors. Oh, who's running illegal floors and all. So there's been a lot of other crap to talk about. But don't worry, I always take note of these spicy kitten things. And yeah, we do indeed have a spicy lineup today. We got a triple threat going down. They came out. I'm gonna start with Helmut Marko. Helmut Marko dropped a quotable describing the Verstappen and Sainz relationship as toxic. Now, without even getting into whatever he did or did not say, at the end of the day, Marko, that's your fault. That relationship is that's on you. Yes, Mr. Marko, Dr. Marko, excuse me, but yes, Dr. Marko, that's on you. That is your fault. That if these two drivers do indeed so have a now quote unquote toxic working relationship, that's on you because you brought in two rookies. You undoubtedly told them something different when they were signing the contracts with you. I'm sure Verstappen camp was told that he's going to be the spearhead of the operation as soon as he has acclimatized to F1, and I'm sure Sainz and his camp were told that, well, this is going to be an equal opportunity team here at Toro Rosso. If your guy's faster, don't worry, he'll get to show it. And well, when it came time to deliver on both promises, something had to break, didn't it? And I suppose it doesn't help that Verstappen got parachuted into what? Do I say parachuted? Uplifted? What do you say? That promotion was so fast, but it doesn't help that I suppose Verstappen got uplifted. I'm gonna go with this word. It might not be accurate. Someone's gonna have me. But he was uplifted into the Red Bull seat quite quickly, and that would have undoubtedly sent alarm bells ringing in the Sainz camp. But besides that, that relationship was, if Marko is so describing it as toxic, well, definitely it was toxic long before that. A long time before that. Now, I'm not sure which Grand Prix specifically, but it might have been a few Grand Prix. Perhaps 2 or 3 Grand Prix, where Sainz was indeed faster than Verstappen, but well, he was told to hold station. One of them was indeed a Spanish Grand Prix. I'm not sure what the others were. I couldn't recall for you at the moment. The Sainz was told, well, forget about whatever they told you in the negotiation room, forget about whatever was negotiated in your favor, simmer down right now in that cockpit. We're looking for a result. And of course, well, that didn't rub too well with Sainz in his camp. Why am I mentioning this article? Well, because if there was ever I guess we'll go with the football language, right? But if there was ever a homegrown pair of drivers that looked the most promising of all time, it was probably the Verstappen and Sainz duo, right? Now, Marko, he's probably upset on some level that he messed that up because he still doesn't know how to handle. He's running out of time anyway, but he still doesn't know how to actually make an equal opportunity team, how to run an equal opportunity team. He doesn't actually know how to do that yet. Weber and Vettel, that was not an equal opportunity team. I mean, we could pretend it was, but it wasn't. We know it wasn't. When Vettel broke his front wing at Silverstone and the team put Weber's front wing on his car, that's when we knew it was not an equal opportunity team. Likewise with Multi-21. If it was equal opportunity, that would have caused a lot more waves internally at Red Bull if if they were actually doing what they're preaching. Now, of course, running an equal opportunity team is difficult. The only successful one that's been seen, quite frankly, is the Sir Lewis Hamilton and Nico. And I'm saying successful, right? Okay, yeah, they did collide, but the when the two drivers collided, it wasn't at the climax of the season or anything. It was well, it was very early into it was at the Spanish Grand Prix. There's still 2/3 of the season. There's still 2/3 of the season at least to go through from there. So that was a different thing. I suppose someone might talk about Belgium, but that's a whole year removed. It's a whole different season. But yes, I'm categorizing the Mercedes number one driver pairing as successful, Sir Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, because that one could have gone on longer if Rosberg was actually up for it. It didn't because he wasn't, so that's a whole different situation. Would the Verstappen and Sainz one have been something like that? I don't know. Quite specifically, I do not know. But if an equal opportunity team were to be run, then both drivers would feel comfortable with their chances of winning a championship with the team when they have good setup around them. When the team is good, when the car is good, both drivers going to stick around because, okay, I can win a championship here. The team isn't just going to put all their eggs behind this one guy. I actually get a challenge here. Right. That doesn't actually happen at many other teams, and if it does, it ends acrimoniously every time. Now, you might say, oh, Rosberg and Sir Lewis Hamilton ended acrimoniously. Well, not really. I mean, it's not really. It didn't end that badly. I mean, both drivers saw the checkered flag, so it's a different thing. And there were no dirty games played. McLaren ran number one driver pairing thing, although one of those number one drivers was a rookie, and the reigning two-time world champion wasn't correctly informed, or it didn't land for him until he actually did the Hungary stunt, and that's where that whole situation went sideways. I mean, it was probably irrecoverable before that, but otherwise, after that situation, nothing's reversing that. And I couldn't point specifically to which incident would have soured this Verstappen and Sainz relationship. Quite frankly, probably Verstappen getting the first drive in the F1 car. Quite frankly, that would have probably soured the Sainz camp anyway. But that aside, Red Bull still have to prove that they can actually run an equal opportunity team, because any time they've been about to, or actually supposedly meant to have run an equal opportunity team, well, they haven't. They simply haven't. And well, even this season, it's the same thing. So really, Marco, if you're looking for any reason as to why this Verstappen and Sainz relationship turned out to be toxic, it's because of you. You did not manage that situation correctly, and quite frankly, it was your job to manage that situation correctly, because you decided, against all better advice, I'm putting two rookies in the team. So yeah, at the very least, Dr. Marco, please just own your own shit. Homeboy, just own your own shit, fam. You made that mess. No one else made that mess. You made that mess. These are functionally kids coming into this thing. You gotta show them how this thing do. You didn't show them how to do, you fucked it up. So that's all you. Second, the second kitten getting a bit spicy. Verstappen. He's been in the news saying that he feels Yuri Vips deserves a second chance. Now, while I do agree with him, this is specifically going into the whole spicy thing, because who briefed Maximilian to say this, or quite frankly, who didn't brief him to say this? Because he's not supposed to be saying this, especially with the Orange Army acting up, and this was published before, I believe this article was published before the Austrian Grand Prix, before that whole disaster weekend. But who at Red Bull is not keeping a finger out, reading the air as to what the actual, where the actual cultural winds are blowing? Who's not doing that? Because Maximilian, he doesn't get to say this with the Orange Army acting up a whole mess. He doesn't really get to say this. And he's fortunate that there's been other shit to talk about, because the internet would have been all over this if it was a more sensible season. If there wasn't the whole rumors of illegal flaws and who's got illegal fixes for porpoising and what have you. If there wasn't all of that chatter, then the story probably would have made a lot more waves. So they're very fortunate. But of course, the Orange Army always has antennas up for whatever Maximilian might say or do. And undoubtedly they probably heard this. Now, of course, I must give Maximilian... The spicy part is that his name is now tied to give Yuri Vip second chance, and the Orange Army is acting up. That's the whole spice. That's the spiciness over there. Because what he said is otherwise stuff that I agree with. I don't understand how a kid from Estonia would learn about the word nigger and why he shouldn't be saying this so casually here or there. You know, I personally don't understand where he might learn that. Perhaps when he starts racing in the junior formula, he starts getting schooled in Britain. I don't know. I don't believe that happens. So if he's still being schooled in Estonia for all of this, I don't know how I can blame the Estonian educational system. I don't know why they should be expected to know all of this American cultural history and all of that. I don't understand why they would be expected to know that. So that's why my argument is to just have the black community be more responsible with the word. But you know, I'll be called Uncle Tom before I shouldn't even complain about being called Uncle Tom. It should be a compliment. But the language gets so fucked up over time that people just run with whatever they want to. Now, Verstappen, he hasn't said anything particularly spicy. Does Vips deserve a second chance? Probably. Red Bull are still they're still secretly open to having him in. Marco has simply stated that Red Bull are not funding him anymore. But Marco himself does air some sentiment that Vips probably does deserve a second chance. So one, Red Bull probably does really believe in whatever driving talent Vips is presenting them with. And they are probably keeping the door open for Vips to be reintroduced into the Red Bull stable. Perhaps when why am I saying when? Who knows? But perhaps when he swims at a different outfit. Who knows? Perhaps Haas will take a gamble on Vips or something in 2 years' time, or what have you. And if he's good, Red Bull will probably bring him in to AlphaTauri. It is what it is. But otherwise, does Vips deserve a second chance? Probably. When do you give him that second chance? I don't know. What is he supposed to do to show remorse? I don't know. I quite frankly don't know. And it's not even my actual place to care, right? Because this word is not my history specifically. So it's not my place to care. So someone else has to present that answer as to what exactly Vips can or cannot do, or if there is no redemption for Vips. Maybe Verstappen saying this is just the spice for someone else out there. Oh my god, how can you say Vips deserves a second chance after he just said this so brazenly on whose stream was he on? Callum Ilott? He was on someone's stream, on Homeboy's stream, you know, it's playing a video game, there might be kids there. So people will go pretty extra with it, and even Verstappen just airing this opinion might be the spice for them. If that's you, so be it. I ain't gonna stop you. But yes, this is one other story that went a bit under the radar. And the final bit of spice. It had to come from Horner. I don't know why they didn't just have Horner say the Vips thing. I mean, he's outfitted to be the lightning rod of Red Bull. I don't know why they don't just have him say this. If this thing blew up on Verstappen, then this season might have been a completely different situation. This season might have been a complete... You know what? He's probably fortunate that Benotto said some more clownish shit at the moment when he said that it was a learning season for Ferrari. He's probably fortunate. You know? But otherwise, Red Bull really should have just had Horner say that Vips deserves a second chance in all of this mess. Maybe Horner has said it somewhere and it just hasn't been reported. Who knows? Probably did. But what did Horner say? See, it's a whole triple threat. We got the whole spiciest gang out here. Marco said a ting. Maximilian said a ting. You see, we got the whole gang out here. Alright, Dr. Marco said a ting, Maximilian said a ting. And Horner, he said a ting. Spicy Kitten Horner, he said a ting as well. He said F1 will always have heroes and villains at each circuit. No, excuse me. I'm even gonna get into the article. I know exactly what this guy is doing, right? He's actually he's running defense for the Orange Army. He said some other spicy shit that's actually riled me up lately. I might actually fucking cave and make this unsporting review of Lossies, because he said some other spicy shit that tells me he thinks men just don't see what the fuck happened last season. But otherwise, for today, Horner has made the insinuation that there will always be heroes and villains at each circuit. There's never been villains at any circuit. There's been villains of F1, and someone might become a villain of F1 while still being in F1. Right? Schumacher, when he has a scandal behind him, when he's parked it at Monaco. I don't even believe he parked it at Monaco, but this is the narrative, right? When Schumacher has parked it at Monaco, or he's tried to take Villeneuve out at Jerez, he did do that. Then he's the villain. Then he's the villain after things like that. He probably would have gotten more championships if he didn't do that. He broke his leg, he gets to do the whole redemption arc, and now he's everyone's favorite after all this mess that he's done. But otherwise, he was never a villain at any specific circuit. He was simply a villain to F1 when he was a villain. Or he was just a hero to F1 when he was a hero. It wasn't at each circuit. There was no home and away spec for Grand Prix. There wasn't any of that. Unless, of course, you go to your actual home Grand Prix, German Grand Prix, what have you, then you're the fan favorite. It's not that you're the hero, you're the fan favorite. Right, Barrichello goes to Brazil, he goes to Sao Paulo, and he's leading the Grand Prix. The engine goes pop. Who's the villain? No one's the villain. You know, Barrichello has a first corner incident on lap 1. Who's the villain? No one's the villain. The crowd is just upset that their favourites is out of the Grand Prix, and they probably leave. And they probably leave during those early 2000s when Barrichello and Schumacher are in those high-spec Ferraris. They probably leave. Like, oh, okay, he's not winning. The guards have decided that we don't get a Brazilian winner at Sao Paulo today, so we're going home. No one was ever the villain. It's just that their favorite, not the hero yet, he's just the favorite, but their favorite was out. Now, I gather that this has changed lately with the Orange Army and whatever spice Liberty Media are adding to the F1 fan experience, right? With trying to insinuate home away advantage and what have you. Mind you, I have done this too. With Leclerc's home Grand Prix and what have you. Though I simply regard it as home Grand Prix. How do I say this correctly? The teams themselves have home Grand Prix. The drivers have home Grand Prix only in so much as they get to run a home Grand Prix. It's not really more than that. And I don't really know how else to explain it. Yes, some drivers might get an extra gear at their home Grand Prix. Then you can say it's all quote-unquote home advantage. But there's no away advantage that is at play anywhere else. So you can't really say that. It's just, okay, they're the favorite. They perhaps have the crowd behind them because the crowd is more likely to have fans of them in there. And, you know, this energy translates onto the circuit. It just is what it is. At least it's more translatable for some drivers than others. Likewise, it's more translatable for some athletes than others in all types of professions, right? There's some boxers who will do really well with home advantage. There's other boxers who will do better with spectacle advantage. Oh, we're at Madison Square Garden or something. We got a big stage to fight on. The same thing happens everywhere. But otherwise, back to what Horner was saying. There have never been heroes and villains at each circuit. There's only been F1 and the field that takes part in F1, and either fan favorites or just the rest of the field to the fans. Now there's heroes and villains because we've got home and away settings, and because things are being tribalized. It's becoming like football, but anyway, things are being tribalized, and now more important than was there a good or bad Grand Prix, or did we get to see a good show, did we get to see good racing, more important than that is who won. Did my guy win? That's a brand new development, brand spanking new, and most of that is frankly on account of last season. Yeah, people register what the fuck happened last season. Might not have words for it just yet, but they register. All the spice went well, it's reported, but no one talks about it too loud. No one talks about it too loudly. No, there are no heroes and villains at each circuit. That's an excuse. You are fomenting for the Orange Army and their ultras doing a madness wherever they do a madness. Now, I don't mind the booing for an opponent crashing. I mean, depends on the context of the accident, but I anticipate people have knowledge to know these things. Maybe they don't, and then that would require a different line of approach. But otherwise, so yeah, Horner, he's excusing stuff like that. Do I care about it? No, there's other people who do care about it, most interestingly enough, though. So that is something that someone in the position of Red Bull, with the type of cultural reach that they have, might want to consider. But anyway, this has been the Spicy Kitten Red Bull Ensemble, I suppose. I've had to address some of these specifically because, well, the way some things were going, the way some events played out, it probably required that these things be addressed. But anyway, that's the vid. There'll be another day to praise Verstappen if, I don't know, there's Verstappen fans here who think like, oh, you never got nice things to say about Verstappen. I sometimes say nice things about Verstappen, but when the Red Bull camp does a spicy, I have to cover it, so I have to. I'm obligated. But anyway, thankfully I get to clear these out of my to-do list now. Alright, that's the vid. Peace.
Hell breezy. Let me show you how to keep the dice rolling when you're doing that thing over there. Hey. Let's go! Cause I'm feeling like I'm running and I'm feeling like I gotta get away. Better know that I don't and I won't ever stop. Cause you know I gotta win every day. See, you really wanna pop me. Just know that you will never flop me. And I know that I gotta be a little cocky. You ain't never gonna stop me. Every time I come, a nigga gotta set it, then I gotta go, and then I gotta get it, then I gotta blow, and then I gotta shut it. Any little thing a nigga think that he be doing, cause it doesn't matter, cause I'm gonna dead it. Then I'm gonna murder everything and anything about it. Boom, about a bing. I gotta do a lot of things to make it clearer to a couple niggas that I always win, and then I gotta get it again and again and again. And I be doing it to death, and now I move a little foul. Nigga better call a rap, and everybody know my style. Niggas know that I'm the best when it comes to doing this, and I be banging on my chest, and I bang in the east, and I banging in the west, and I kinda give you more, and I will never give you less. You will hear it in the street, and you can read it in the press. Do you really wanna know what's next? Let's go. See the way we on it, and we all up in the race, and you know we gotta go now, try to keep up with the pace, and we struggling and hustling and set it and get it, and we always gotta do it, take it to another place, gotta taste